in this video, I'm going to tell you why alcohol is ruining your life and some simple ways that you can essentially remove it from your life. Now, I shouldn't even really have to sit here and tell you the negative effects of alcohol. I think it's pretty common sense. Yeah, there's some positive effects, I suppose, in the sense that, it makes you forget things. It makes you happier. It makes you sort of forget emotions. Like, people use it as a drug to sort of cope with pain and cope with other things, which is not a healthy thing, in my opinion. And I think a lot of the world knows this, but a lot of people just decide to sort of give into it anyways. I live in Australia, which is a country with a massive drinking culture. So people here really love it, not just on the weekend, but even on a weekday. And for me, I think it's a funny story, but I actually had a friend who is Muslim. He's probably never going to watch this video, but if he does, shout out to you. And I remember this guy, like, whenever we would go out, he would just never drink, to the point where he actually kind of just stopped going out. I'm more and more going towards that now, where I just don't really drink anymore, and I just sort of use it as an option to just go, no, I'm not going to do this, and it almost makes life easier, because then it actually means that I'm not surrounded by the people that I don't want to be surrounded by. In my opinion, no good things ever come from alcohol. I've seen it firsthand. I think I've seen it, secondhand as well, from a lot of people around me. But I sort of deluded myself into thinking, oh no, it's going to be okay. And I would just do it anyways, even though I didn't want to. And boy, do I regret it. I wish I had just sort of had the balls a little bit earlier in life to go, no, I don't want to do this, and just sort of refuse to give in. Because then every time you give in, people are going to sort of assume that your arm can be twisted, and they're going to assume that you're going to end up, going out and stuff like that. Whereas if you sort of just flat out say no, or you say, I don't drink alcohol, then that helps a lot. I guess, which brings me on to my first technique, which is, it's a bit rough, but just rip the Band-Aid off. Go cold turkey. Like, literally just stop completely. At least for like a couple months. If you want to go back to it afterwards, sure. But at least initially, you're better off just stopping completely, because the less you do that, the more you do that, the more that you're going to get used to just sort of saying no to it. And then people will pick up on the fact that you don't drink, and then they'll actually respect you for it in the long term. That they might be negative about it in the first place, but I wouldn't worry about that, because they're not the kind of people you want to be around anyways. Two of my best friends, they don't drink alcohol, and I honestly have the best times I've had with my friends with them when there's no alcohol involved. Doesn't mean that you can't have a good time with alcohol involved, but I personally just prefer to not have it involved. And then, like, with these people, I have really deep conversations, even with alcohol, and we often have a good time together. So you really don't need alcohol to have fun. You really don't. And I think there's a lot of people, at least from what I've seen in this country, and potentially the world as well, that want to sort of get out of that and break out of that culture, but they can't, just because of the pressures of society, the pressures of your friend groups, and that feel like they have to be included by giving into an activity they don't want to do. And that's how I felt for a couple years, to the point where I sort of gave into it, because I thought that it would make people like me more, and it would make me feel included in the group, which maybe it did at first, but ultimately it made me really unhappy. And I remember every morning I would wake up, or every time that I would wake up hungover the next day, the day was wasted, basically. And I would always regret it. Like, I don't think there's a single time where I didn't go out drinking alcohol that I didn't, like, somewhat regret it a little bit. There's obviously some times where it was okay and it was enjoyable with friends and things like that, but I would much rather go do something physical, go to a hike, or just, go play a sport or something like that, rather than, go drinking alcohol. Like, I just don't like that. So I guess the first tip I have is go cold turkey, and then people are going to sort of pick up on the fact that you don't want to drink. The second tip I have is to remove yourself from environments where alcohol are, I guess, encouraged or basically forced on you, such as nightclubs, parties where there's alcohol, and even, to be honest, like work events where there's alcohol. Work events a little bit better because you can just sort of have a soft drink, or say no, I'm not going to drink, and that's usually fine. So I think you have to remove yourself, and the way you do this, um, there's two ways, I guess, same way as before. You either just stop completely going to these things, or you sort of withdraw yourself very, very slowly over time, and then after that, then they'll sort of pick up the message, whether it's your friends, co-workers, or just sort of environment, social groups that you're around. They'll sort of pick up on the fact that you don't want to be a part of it anymore and be a part of those activities. Like as mentioned before, I sort of just stopped. I removed myself a little bit from that environment. At first people are going to criticize you for it. Like I got criticized a lot and hated a lot for it. But now I'm very, very glad I did that and took action, because, there's less, sure, there was a little bit of criticism, but in the long term, it made a big, big impact on my life. And I'm never going to look back now. And I'm happy with the decision I made. So really just go cold turkey on alcohol, at least for a bit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like don't ever drink alcohol again in your life. Like it's fine. Social events, New Year's with your family, like just to have a bit of alcohol here and there. But I'm saying don't make it a big part of your life, and don't drink to the point of intoxication, because that's never a good place to be in. But unfortunately, that's kind of the society we live in nowadays, where that sort of seems to become the norm. And then remove yourself from environments where there's alcohol. They're my two sort of things I have for you today. So thanks for watching the video. Check out the links in the bio, and I'll see you in the next one.